Welcome to the very first speaker archive meeting. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first time ever happening in Racine County, so it's kind of cool to be a part of this little tidbit of history. Before I start, I would like to just acknowledge, I really appreciate the time and effort that Sam and Alex have both put into this. Sam was the one that kind of came up with the idea, came up with the questions and the format and kind of the mastermind behind all this. And Alex dealt with the nightmare of technology and integrating everything to make this recorded meeting happen. Woo! So, round of applause.
And I'd like to say a little thank you to Sam. So I told her, I said, thank you. I really appreciate that. And she said, yeah. Well, I asked like 5 or 6 other people. And so you get me, 6 on the list.
So we'll open this meeting up with a moment of silence for the still suffering alcoholic, followed by the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Amen.
Amen. We'll ask that you silence your cell phones if you haven't already, for respect to your fellows and our speaker, Daryl, today. We will now practice the 7th tradition. Every AA meeting every AA group is self-supporting, declining outside contributions. $15 of donations today will go to rent, and the rest will go to District 17. AA Preamble is what we're going to be reading today. AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, and that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So again, welcome to the area archives speaker meeting. Consistent with Alcoholics Anonymous General Service Archives mission, our purpose is to document permanently the work of Alcoholics Anonymous, to make the history of the organization accessible to AA members and other researchers, and to provide a context for understanding AA's progression, principles, and traditions. We will meet here at the Grove Club last Sunday of every month. The first half of this meeting will be a Q&A period followed by a break. After the break, our speaker, Daryl, will resume sharing experienced strength and hope pertaining to either a page from the big book at random or a page of Daryl's choosing. This meeting will be recorded and stored at the Racine Area Central Office. A digital copy will be sent to the Area 75 archives. You may contact District 17 Archives Chair to arrange access to the recordings when they are available. This one is kind of corny. If there is, I like it though, if there is anyone here with less than 30 days sobriety, please raise your hands, not to single anyone out. Nice. Welcome. Do you want to tell us a little bit about you, or at least your name?
My name's Dave. I'm an alcoholic.
Dave.
Welcome. Thank you. My first meeting, though, was actually about 2.5 weeks ago here.
Sweet.
Nice.
And I was hooked right away.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Dave. Anyone here with more than 15 years sobriety, please raise your hand. Like half the room. All right.
Hey.
So for this meeting, the speakers selected are considered old timers. An AA old timer is any member.
That's old?
Whoa. Older than me. An old timer is any member who has been continuously sober for a significant period of time. The definition of significant is open to interpretation and varies widely. For the purposes of this meeting, an old timer is considered anyone with 20 years or more of sobriety. The old timers interview serves as representation of the significant impact that long-term sobriety can have on our AA community. So, without further ado, I welcome Daryl.
You guys rock.
So,
Let's go, Justin.
Let's go. Yeah, let's do it. So, Daryl, question one is, what is your sobriety date? Sobriety.
Well, the old timers way back when would say I got up like at 8 this morning. So that's my today's sobriety date. But I sobered up October 1st, 1989. For those of you mathematically challenged, that's 34 years. By the grace of God.
Question two, who was the President of the United States when you joined Alcoholics Anonymous?
So, that's not the question I got. When they first gave me the question, it was who was the president. So I got some presidents here. And the president of the Boy Scouts, when I sobered up, was Harold Cook. The president of General Motors was Roger Smith. And the president of the Grove Club, I believe, was Green Dick. But the president of the United States was George W. Bush.
Ooh.
89.
He was the president of the Grove Club.
Oh,
Mike King. Mike King.
nobody asked you. Gee. And that was to the best of my ability. Mm-hmm. Wrong again.
It happens. Let's see here. So, when and where was your first contact with AA?
My first contact with AA was, it had to have been like 1979. I was working at J.I. Case, and I was in trouble, because I didn't show up, and they would, I heard rumors that if you say you were an alcoholic, they'd give you, a break and not fire you. And off to treatment I went. The treatment bus took me to Alcoholics Anonymous. I went to the Alano Club, I came here to the Grove Club. So that was my actual first contact with Alcoholics Anonymous, and let me tell you, you guys were nuts. And you still are. And I love you all, so anyways.
Can you describe what Alcoholics Anonymous was like back then compared to today?
I just shared the similarities, but it was real different back then. The men and women, and there wasn't very many. When I first, because I was an in and out guy, so I was bouncing in and out, and there was like 2 black guys when I was first bouncing in way back when in '79 and that stuff. I don't even remember their names, but Dave will probably remember. But one Hispanic lady, and the rest, a bunch of grouchy old guys. Right? And they helped save my life. I just couldn't connect, so I kept leaving. Eventually, I remember there was one guy that every time I went back out and I came back in, he would always pick me up and take me to a meeting. I mean, every time I wanted to go, hey, you going to a meeting? Yeah, pick me up, right? So they would pick me up, and it was pretty neat, and today, it's a lot the same, right? There's a lot the same, but we have people reading the book and working steps as a group. They're having home meetings where they're really involved in the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the enthusiasm of some of these younger members are just inspiring to me. The willingness that, and it's unbelievable that what I can learn from them as they share their lives and what they're going through. And it opens up my eyes. I just heard something Friday from an Al-Anon lady that I was like, I had to snag her off to the side and talk to her about it. It was just, what did you say? You know what I mean? So it's a continual growth, right? And AA has changed, and I believe for the better, right? And as long as we keep our loving purpose at the head, I think it'll continue to grow and be better next year and 20 years from now.
Awesome. Daryl, what were you like as a newcomer, and how do you think others would describe you when you were a newcomer?
Okay, take a little liberty here. I was wonderful. They think I'm wonderful. My old counselor is sitting right over there, and he shared something back at a volunteer celebration that I was a part of, and I didn't know this at that time, but I knew he didn't like my opinions much, but I had many. But he said at that talk, I did a little spiel, and he did a spiel after that, and he said he'd have bet I'd have never made it. And that's just the grace of God. It wasn't by any great wonderfulness on my part, right? It was the grace of God, men and women like you who have helped me along the way and still today, right? And the other thing was, the last day I drank, right, and I came in, and I was like, man, I liked being the man, so I wanted to be one of these AA big book, know it, and go, and we're going to condemn all the old timers who ain't doing it right. And pretty much I had to make amends to every one of those old timers because I was harsh and I was rude and I was crude, and with my opinions and my outlook. So yeah, a lot has changed from then to now.
Cool. Who was your first sponsor? How did you end up working with that person?
Oh, that's pretty cool. I had a sponsor only for about 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, something like that. But he had some family issues and he couldn't sponsor me anymore, so he handed me off like a piece of meat to Mark, who seemed to think it was his job to chew me up. And it was quite interesting because I watch as he works with the guys he sponsors today, and I see, right? And but here's one of the things: if you don't like being told what to do, right, and that kind of stuff, I needed that. I needed to be told what to do because I had never walked this path without somebody saying, "Hey, this way," get in the car, right? I need you at this meeting, that meeting, and, clean out some ashtrays, for God's sake, right? We used to smoke back then, and here, I want you to read this and do that, and so on, and he's still my sponsor today. I love him dearly. We heard him last week here speak, and I believe that was the best talk I ever heard him speak. And I've heard him talk talk stuff for a long time. But I believe it was good. So that was that.
Yeah, great. Who were some of the prominent alcoholics in your early sobriety?
Man, there was a bunch of them, man. And these are the old timers. I was thinking, of course, Dave, and I think of Big Shoe, and I think of Dave Nielsen, and I can't remember the guy that picked me up. It was Libby's husband. I can't remember his name. Gary. And Gary was, Gary picked me up all the time. He never told me what to do or nothing like that. He just, yeah, I'll take you to a meeting. We went to a meeting, and Ron Brulette, when I use their last name, that means that they had passed, right? And Ron was the guy that taught me how to fish. And to this day, it is a great passion of mine, so I'm ever in his debt. And these are some of the prominent men. Cool. And ladies, there was Karen, I remember, and I can't remember. What was her name with the 25 cent, huh?
Betty Dre's?
No, Betty, but with the 25 cent, that was Betty? Yeah. Yeah, right? Oh, that's hilarious, right? So a lot of ladies also, but there was nowhere as many as there are today, and thank you, ladies, for suiting up and showing up and helping the next female suffering alcoholic.
Amen. Can you think of any AA catchphrases from back in the day that you don't hear anymore, or you don't hear as often, and what kind of weight did they carry to you, and what did they kind of mean?
There was an old phrase back then. There was they never said relapse back then. I never heard that word. So relapse was never a phrase. They'd call them slippers, right? And back then there was an old phrase that said, underneath every skirt was a slip. You never hear that no more. A lot of people, you know what I mean? One, ain't wearing no slips. Two, not a lot of skirts. But you know what I mean? And what it meant to me, I came into program Alcoholics Anonymous married, right? And it meant something to me, for me not to live the type of life I had lived before, right? And I understood that, how easily I could slip away from our primary purpose, right?
So what kind of events or social activities were there when you first got sober? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It was agreed upon 90 dances in 90 days to keep you sober. They had dances all the time. Kenosha, Milwaukee, Racine, and so that was a big deal. Also, there was cookouts. They had pig roasts here, pig roasts there. I thought we were devastating the herd of pigs. But that was a lot of dances, man. A lot of dances.
What do you remember most about the first time you sponsored someone?
First time I sponsored a guy, his name is Jim O. We called him Meat Man. There's a whole story behind that about fishing. So, but anyways, he asked me to sponsor him, and he had been sober a year, right? And I brought him like a trophy to my home group meeting, and I showed him off to my sponsor and his sponsor at the time, and I said, "Hey, look at the catch of the day. Look at me. I got a," and they rode me like just a tired automobile. It was just what do you got, right? What do you got to give them? Blah blah blah. They hit me all this stuff, and really what I learned from that was I better get busy and learn this stuff, because I'm a half measures goof, right? And it was sort of funny when they asked me about this. I'm thinking, listen, I got like a crappy memory, and most of my life has been all about me. So, you know, I mean, archives and that stuff, it didn't make much sense. But and then Mark sort of pulled me aside. He's like, dude, man, you know, I don't know, man. That guy looks like he's going to die today, right? And he was all pussy-eyed, and the guy had been sober a year already. He drank, but he wasn't well physically. He drank a 12-pack of Mountain Dew a day. He was shaky and jittery and whatnot. But Jimmy caused me to look into the book, and because he did everything I asked him. Hey, I need you to do blah, blah, blah. And next time I talked to him, okay, I'm done, what's next? So he caused me to really get going, reading the book and thinking about him, praying, asking God's help in that endeavor. And it really was, he and I grew up in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Very cool. Anything you vividly remember about the first time you were sponsored?
Yep.
Yeah.
Got a few of those. Way back when I was bouncing in and out, I asked Dick Condell to be my sponsor, and he said okay, and nothing ever really happened, right? I was like, and we actually, I said, okay, I got you as a sponsor. What in the hell do I do with you? And what ended up happening was that, but of course I drank again, and that relationship as sponsor-sponsee dissolved, and I ended up getting Mark as my sponsor. And he really did love and care for me in a manner that I never seen anybody love and care for a person they didn't know before. I was like, I mean, close, right? How you doing? What's going on? All right, get in the damn car. All right, where are we going? You'll see. Right? He was abundance of information, right? But he did. He took the time out of his life, and we ended up being great friends and fishing partners, and but he never lost sight of his responsibility as my sponsor.
Cool.
Good enough?
Yeah, this has been, this is incredible. So at 7:25, this meeting, we are going to take a break about halfway through, and we're there. So I'd say, what, 5-minute break? Meet back here. 10-minute break? All right, so
Oh, man. All right.
All right, welcome back, everyone, from your 10-minute break. We will now have Daryl read a page from the big book of his choosing. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Daryl Manchester, grateful member of Alcoholics Anonymous. glad to be here, glad to share. So I get, they said a random page. I was like, out of the big book, and I was like, can I pick it? I'm not good with just, I like to read and think and ponder and pray and make things real complicated. But I picked page 84. And one of the reasons I love this page is because it's really the end of step 9, and it takes us into step 10. I'm going to read a little bit on page 83. It says, we are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. And a lot of us have come a long road, right? We've had guys in here that we called high bottom, and but a lot of people didn't have so much of that high bottom. A lot of us have never understood the word serenity and was always in conflict, therefore no peace. And I was just sharing today about, I just celebrated my belly button birthday in January, and I was getting a lot of calls. And my wife gets a little frustrated when I get up. My phone rings often, and she gets a little frustrated when she can't get my attention because it's diverted. And so she sort of just left. And once I ended that phone call, well, she said, you know how blessed you are to have that many people that care about you? And that got me thinking, right? I know I'm blessed, and I came here with nobody to call. My wife wouldn't even take my calls, to where I have a lot of friends and loved ones, a family within the Alcoholics Anonymous that have become a part of my life in every manner, right? And I was thinking, man, 60, I never thought I'd reach 68. Much less reach 68 and be happy. And I'm happy, man. I got to tell you, man, every day isn't a cakewalk, but I tell you what, man, I have, my biggest problem today is worrying about another alcoholic, because I love alcoholics, and I want them all to get sober and get the peace I have, right? So I understand the word serenity because the squirrels ain't running all the time, and I do know peace, and I thank all you guys for that. And I was down there, man. I was commode hugging, knee crawling, puking drunk, right? Intravenous drug user, blood on. Who wears long sleeve T-shirts at 90 degrees, right? That's, that's what we did, right? And it says we can see how that can benefit others, right? I know what hopelessness is. I can see it on people, and it hurts my spirit, right? And if I can lift you up, I'm going to try to lift you up. If I can help you in any manner, I'm telling you what, when you hear that, oh, you're going to help me, give me, pay my rent. Yeah, no, get a job. I'm going to help you with that. I'm going to help you learn how to be employable, right? But it all starts with not drinking one day at a time, right? Pardon me. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Ego enters, and I am the man, right? But that's what happened to me all of a sudden. I've learned some things. I'm the man. I'm going to get rid of all the old timers and set them right. Not get rid of them, I'm just going to correct them. And, but no, I learned some stuff along the way, right? Self-seeking slips away, our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. I'm reading out of this book, and this is so true, man. This is the end of step 9. It's talking about the promises that are afforded to us if we work these steps in order, not drinking, right? And if you're not feeling some of this, get to work. Do something. Ask for some help. It isn't, I thought, fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. I was like, I'm going to give money. What happened for me was I did not get the money, but I learned how to pay the bills, right? I learned how to go on a payment plan and keep the plan. I stopped robbing the neighbor's electricity and paid my own bill, right? And I got to be able to do that. And let me tell you, for a guy like me to pay his bills, there's a feeling that comes over you that a lot of people who just pay their bills, they don't know, right? But when I was able to pay my bill, oh yeah, walking tall, man, right? I got no money in my pocket, but the lights are on, right? My rent is paid. I bought a house in the ghetto, and because it was less money than renting. So, and that's where I sobered up, in that rough part of town. My sponsor would come over and pick me up. It was unbelievable. Fear of people and of economic security, man. For me to put my trust in the men that I have in my life today, and ladies, but more so with the men that are in my life and the trust that I have put in these relationships has never steered me wrong. I haven't always liked it. I'm a grouchy old guy sometimes. I remember saying that. I don't want to be that grouchy old guy. And then sometimes I turn into that. But it said we'll intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. Oh yeah, right? What do? The guy said this to me, right? What do? Right? When your whole life was, right? Confrontation, being argumentative, and I'm still that way. I still apologize. I got a lot of work to do yet. I need another 34 years, so just to straighten that one out. But I do believe by continual surrender that will. But to these situations that arise really for me was real simple. I'm going to say this a little different than I tell the guys I sponsor, but shut up. These were words that saved my sobriety, my life, my serenity. Shut up. And I got to tell you, sometimes I would say that audibly, and people would, what? Right? But mostly it was internal dialogue where I was, shut up, don't say it, shut up, right? And because I so wanted to say, because I had a good one, right? I had a zinger, right? And I'll give you a little bit about me, is that I went to jail a lot. And most of it was for, drunk stuff I did. And so I went to jail. I paid a fine, $300 fine, 20 days in jail. I didn't do 20 days. I ain't got a job, for God's sakes, right? Or if I did, who cares? Either they'll take me back or there was another one right next to it. But so I read the Bible while I was in jail just so I could argue. I had information so I could argue with these Christian men and women who would approach me with their faith. So, oh yeah? If God is so good, blah, 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 right? So, little did I realize that all that reading one day would come around and help me. I didn't realize that, right? We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. I tried a lot of different ways to have a better life, to live a better way, to my family loved me. I wore them out. They were like a poor tennis shoe with toes sticking out. Holes in the bottom. I just wore them out. So they really had to love me from a distance, right? And when I had been sober for a little while, right? I had been going up on my parents. They lived up, northern Wisconsin. I would go to a meeting when I went up there. Every Saturday night, I would go to a meeting. And one day, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention to the time. I was busy doing that. And my mom says, "You still do that AA stuff?" I was like, "Oh yeah, Ma, I still do." She says, "Oh, good." And my mom's the sweetest lady, right? And the reason why she asked me that question, because she was looking at the time. And I had not said I was going to a meeting yet. And the reason she said, "Oh, good," was because of the guy I was. And she was so happy that I was sober, right? And I was being that responsible son that she prayed for, right? That she didn't want to see me die. I left one time. I didn't have contact with her or my father for about a year and a half, 2 years, just because I was embarrassed about the life I lived. How you doing, son? "Oh, I'm out drunk in Colorado right now, Ma. I climbed a mountain. I mooned the city of Denver or something." You can't explain that to your mother. My dad would just say, "What's the matter with you, boy?" But anyway. And it says this, God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but they will always materialize if we work for them. And I believe that, right? I believe that I'm a marshmallow. My friend Dave would call it something else. But but there's some work involved. I got to suit up. I got to show up. And you cannot transmit what you don't have, right? So come and get some of this, so you can give it away, right? And y'all got something to give, man. So come on, get some more, right? And it's easy, man. It ain't like we're going to run out of, "Gee, I hope you do well." How are you going to run out of that, right? God, help Justin, heal his shoulder, right? How are you going to run out of that stuff, right? The only way I know how to run out of that stuff is get Daryl back involved. It's all about me now. "Oh, I feel I need this. I got to have that one." I'm good today, man. My wife of, It'll be 46 years in April. She likes me. I ain't joking, man. She really likes me, right? And I like her. And it's like, it's pretty good. Anyways, so this thought, now that was the end of step 9 in the promises in the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you think I'm lying, read it. Show me where I'm wrong. I challenge you to show me where I'm wrong. Because I tell you what, if I'm wrong, I need correction. So anyways, this thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take a personal inventory and to set right any new mistakes as we go along. Mark told me that I could start step 10 now, right? It's like, because you're going to have a long 4th step. So let's set things right now. So start setting things right as best I could. And he helped me throughout that. I was going to get a divorce. I think it was a year and a half sober. I was going to get a divorce from my wife because she wanted me to take the garbage out and didn't appreciate it, right? All the hard work I was doing getting sober. And he's like, what? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, Bubba. And he's like, make some changes. You know, she said that you were never around drunk, now you're never around sober. He said, make some changes, make some adjustments. And that's what I did. I started making some adjustments and my life changed. So setting right new mistakes as they come along and start doing it. You can start doing it now. Step 10 ain't that hard. If you hurt somebody, say, I'm sorry. Say, this is what I did. Make amends. Don't do it again. Okay. We vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past. That's what I just talked about. We have entered the world of the Spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. We have entered into the world of the Spirit, not the world of Daryl. We have entered into the world, it eliminates Daryl. Selfishness, self-centeredness is the root of my troubles, right? And so when it says that, you know, we entered the realm of the Spirit, it needs to be void of Daryl. And how do I do that? Continuing in this process, right? Continuing to take inventory, continuing to make right new mistakes. And I ain't perfect at this, man. You know, it's never easy for an old timer to admit his faults, right? And I don't even consider myself an old timer yet. I really don't. I feel, you know, I feel so limited, right? You would think an old timer would have it going on, right? But I sponsor a lot of people, man, right? And they all know I'm nuts, right? I don't try to fake it, man. I'm like, you know, but I got opinions. And unfortunately, the people that I sponsor, they get my opinions. That's what they signed up for. They get all of me, the good and the bad. And here's the thing, I get all of them, the good and the bad. It's pretty cool, right? For this is not an overnight matter, it should continue for a lifetime. Oh, what am I going to do today? This stuff. This is what I do. Answer the phone. You know how many times I ding? Oh, God. This is a 5-minute hello. It's going to be a long conversation, right? My wife will be, she's like, who's calling? I say, blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, I'm going to go downstairs. She knows, right? It's wonderful. But anyways. So it continues throughout today. And it says this, it says, continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. Man, I was knee deep in the building of a good resentment. Anger was creeping in, bitterness, right? And I was at work, I was sitting there, and I'm working it up, right? I'm stirring the poop pot and waiting for the turd to be done. And I get a phone call, Jimmy calls me. And while the phone is ringing, I see his name on my caller ID and I start laughing. Because I knew what I was doing. And I knew it just took that little phone call, right, to shift me out of that mindset, right? I was like, thank God, right? And the guy I was building a resentment, we actually have a decent relationship today, by the way, which is sort of amazing, because I never liked anybody that was my superior at work much. So we ask God to remove them. We discuss them immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. I don't, in my garbage, I don't always harm somebody, but I'll think at you, you know? And what it does is it sort of starts to kill my spirit. And the harm that I do when that starts happening is I don't show up as good for you, right? I don't show up as loving and tolerant. I show up as selfish and self-centered. Anyways, then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Oh, there's a lot of you guys here. No end of possibilities, of opportunities to help. It's unbelievable, right? I'm old, man. I waddle. I had a hip replacement, didn't go so well, right? And my motivation is, I love my recliner. But I can still help. I can do some things. Ask, right? Ask, not get not. Anyways, love and tolerance of others is our code. It's one of my favorite sayings. Because we can love and we can tolerate, right? But like anything, when you join two things together, it comes out to be something else. Love and tolerance is our code. And what we get here is this. This is what we get when we are able to love and tolerate, right? When we add love and tolerance and it be our code, we get to be here doing this with each other. And what happens as a result of that is we stay sober. And what happens as a result of us staying sober is society wins. The city of Racine, because we're here, the city of Racine is a safer place. I don't think anybody will argue with me about that. It says, and we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. Because I remember fighting is an interesting thing. I was always like in conflict, right? But remember that defense is just as much part of the battle as offense. So if you feel like you're defending a lot of times, you might want to look at you're still engaged in the fight. For by this time, sanity will have returned. I'm like, oh man. And I guess I don't think about drinking, and I don't think about not drinking. And that's a pretty cool deal, right? I don't think about drinking, I don't think about not drinking. And it goes on, it says, we will seldom be interested in liquor. If we're tempted, we recoil as if a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we will find that this has happened automatically. It's sort of cool. When I read that, I think it just sort of happens automatically, right? And it's like, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it, right? I thought I had a problem with anger. What I found out was I didn't have an anger problem. I had a loving, giving, caring, and sharing problem. As soon as I started loving, giving, caring, and sharing, my anger subsided. It was amazing. Cease fighting, right? I didn't have to. So, anyways, that's page 84 as I see it. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you, brother. I love you, man. Love you.